Say there. We're holding in Zevachim, Daf Ein Zayin. We're starting in the Mishnah. So we start from the Mishnah. The Mishnah tells us in the Ein Zayin and Mudaf, the Mishnah in we're third down the page in Mudaf. It says the Mishnah, Every chatos shnisarvu be'evrei oila. So before we're talking about the previous Mishnah. Spoke about live animals. You have live animals that are mixed together. So what do? Now talk about you have ivar. Ivar means talk about limbs. Limbs that are mixed up. Limbs of chatos that are mixed up with limbs of oil. What should you do? We know that oil goes on. What do you do with the limbs of oil? Everything goes in the mizbech. What do you do with the limbs of chatos? You don't put it in the mizbech. So what should I do with these limbs? I don't know if it's oil or chatos. So it is, put it up in the mizbeach. What am I going to do with with the limbs of chatos not supposed to be on the mizbeach? You know what? It's like 18. This is what we saw also in yesterday's daf. Yesterday's daf we saw the idea of you could sometimes put on the mizbeach something, and it will be like wood. And it won't be the actual. It will be a piece of. It will be like say I can put wood on the mizbeach, so I can put a limb, and that will be treated as wood. That's what it says. The Chacham say to uber tzurosom the yetzel basis reifel. Everyone said no, you can't put it on the mizbeach, even if it's treated as wood, and you just wait for it to get uber tzurosom. So before. We spoke about live animals. What do you do with live animals? You wait for them to get a blemish. But here we talk about their shechted. So what's uber tzurosom? Uber tzurosom means you'll become nicer overnight. You pass the time, and then you get rid of it. Now, as the Shittim Kvetza mentions, the
intentionally let something become nicer?
What?
Not intentionally let something become nicer?
If I have no choice, I just don't do anything. It's b'shev al taiseh. I let the meat sit. I can't put it on his back. I don't want to I don't burn it right away because right now it's not possible. It's kosher. I just don't know what it is. So I wait for it. Sheval Taisef to become possible, then I have to get rid of it anyway. Now, as the Shittim Kvetza points out, the next Mishnah, which is an Omud base, which we learned, should be read right now. So let's go to there. Next Mishnah is an Omud base. Go to there, because the Gemara is going to quote this Mishnah. So you really have to do it now. Mishnah says, "Ivarim be'ivarim bal momin." What happens if you have limbs of animals? Some animals are good animals. Some of them have blemishes or balmum. What do you do that? So if one of the heads of this mixture went in the mizbeach, so then you can put in the mizbeach the rest of the heads. You can do that. If the legs of one of them went on, you put on the crime on there. Why? What's the idea? What's the concept? The idea is that once I am putting one of them back, we mentioned it a little bit earlier last week, I'm doing a tliya. Tliya means I'm assuming, listen, the one of them is back, that's probably the wrong one. The one that I made a mistake. So I had a bunch of heads. One head is no kosher. The other ones are kosher. One went on his back, I'm assuming that's the one that went on his back. And this is all because, as the Shittim Kvetza points out over here, it's because the whole idea is derabanan, deraisa is really batel. So you have the din of tli. Disagree, and they say no. Even if the entire limbs are the mizbeach and one is left, I can't put it in the mizbeach. Why not? Because I assume that's the one which is wrong. So I don't say this concept of tliya. I'm toilet. I'm assuming that's what it is. Okay, so now let's go back to the Gemara in the Ein Zayin and Mudaf. Says the Gemara, "My taimo de Rabbi Elazar." What is the reasoning of Rabbi Elazar that said that I can put it on the mizbeach to be eitzim, to be wood? So it refers to over there that we're talking about the honey, and it says Ser v'dvash. Ser v'dvash is yeast and honey cannot go on the mizbeach. So it says over there, you're not allowed to put on the mizbeach. You darsha from there, this thing not put on his back, lereach nechoyach. Nechoyach means that's the process of the carbon that gives a good smell. Mash lereach nechoyach iyatamayle, tamayle l'shemetzim. I can't do lereach nechoyach specifically. Nechoyach I can't do it, but I could put it for 18. So from here you learn that something can be there's not royal mizbech can be called, go there with intention to be wood, to be fuel. It says oisom with the atamale. That's true. By seir with vash, by yeast and honey, they're not supposed to go on the mizbeach. You could put them as eitzim, as wood, but other things you can't. I mean, so it says oisom. It's a mute. Dafkadem, they're not something else. Says the Gemara, oh, Reb Lozer, hoisom. No, what hoisom refers to? For something else. We learned over there that you not only now put it on the mizbeach, but you also now allowed to put it on the ramp. That's what you learn. There Rashi brings what's the drasha? Because it says, Elo mizbeach lo yalo. Elo mizbeach means towards mizbeach. So even though they're not on the mizbeach mamish, Elo mizbeach, meaning on the ramp of the mizbeach, they also can be. So that's what you dash. Says the Gemara, oh, V'rabonon mi yadachmono oisom yatamale. Sorry, Reb Lozer oisom u'diraboy l'chok kevesh k'mizbeach. Davka oisom, you treat the ramp like a mizbeach. The ramp is okay. So that's what the oisom is coming to be mimait. It's coming to exclude that. Rabbanon tar tishramino. What it says you learn both. So according to Rabbanon, oisom says oisom you have all the din of the pasuk. Oisom you can't put on the ramp, others you could put on the ramp. Oisom you could come as wood, otherwise you can't put it wood. Rabbanon says no. Oisom refers only to the ramp, but the wood is okay. Says the Gemara, our Mishnah is like the following verse. And here, that's why we have to read the next Mishnah. Because the following verse is arguing both parts of the Mishnah. So let's see. The Tani, Omar Abiyudo lo nichlaku Reb Lozer v'chachomim alevori chotos shnisarvu behevori oilo. When I have chatos and oilo, they're mixed together. They're not arguing she korvu. You could put them on the mizbech. Why? Because you can make them as wood. I mean, everybody agrees that you could put unqualified limbs to be wood. So here I have chatas and oil, I put it on the mizbech, it's fine. Reveya v'nirba means an animal that had a relationship with a human being. Then you can't put the mizbech and become mixed up. We'll see in a moment because it's it's disgraceful. It's something we don't tolerate. Because what's the argument? What we have a machlekes, so I have the limbs of a oilo, which has no blemish, and got mixed up with one that blemish, that's the one we have in the next Mishnah, right? Shablazo, Rabbanon says you can put it lechatchila on the mizbech. Everything can be in the mizbech. How you put it on? As eitzim. And whether you put it on, you say, if it's a good carbon, good. If it's balmum, it's eitzim. The Chayim say they're not. So here, this is another argument with our Mishnah. Because our Mishnah said, as we saw late before, the Rabbanon says, when can you put balmum on his back? Only if you have one went on his back. Had a bunch. You can't put it on his back. One went on his back, so you say, I'm toilet, that's the one. Here he's arguing. He says, no. You can't put it on his back. You can put it on his back like a tchila. Because I'm saying it's like 18. If you look at the last Rashi Noma that he puts together the machlekes of the Armish and the Braiso, it says Masnisi Nektani Bosov Chatos Plig Rabban. That's number one. The Rabban argue on the meat that got mixed up with oil. Vektani Nami Evorim Bali Mumin also says that you have limbs Bali Mumin. But therefore, Ein Zaman base LeRablozo LeKorev Elim Ken Korev Echad Meim Koidim Shinim Lach Delav Kaitan. These two things the Bryce argues. So continues the Gemara and says, go back to Daf Zaudal from the bottom. Why Revea Venirba? I don't say this idea. Bring it up in Mizbech to be wood. To be wood. Says the Gemara because it's not right. So Balmum is not chosu. Why can you put it on Mizbech to be as wood? So says the Gemara in Zayin with base. Oh, Marvuno bedukin shebe'ain ve'alibo de'arbekivo. Meaning, we're talking about a mum which is not a very great mum. Dukishbayin is a mum which is in the eye. It's not so apparent. It's like a dot that the animal has in its eye. That we know, for example, that by goyim, they have their own karbonis, it's not considered to be a mum. Going get it, famous going get it. That's why Kamso did a mum in Dukishbayin when they send the carbon. That's why. So it's not such a big mum. So Kiva holds there that Dukishbayin, if you had that mum, all the lawyer do one of them is bad, don't put it down. If it's not Dukishbayin, so then you can't put a bal mum in the mizbech. But if it's a small mum like Dukishbayin, which is not parent, if one of them is bad, you don't take it down. That's it. So you made what? That's why here.
Yeah.
What?
It's also just if it went up.
Right. Oh, so here Blazo will say that if you put it as wood is okay. I mean, putting it as wood is not a great thing. Blazo says I can rely on that for something which has anyway a cool of all the lawyer do. So I rely on it to be and put it in wood. If you have a nearby, never having all the lawyer do. Right? If an animal has a relationship with Adam, you don't say once one of them is back, will stay there. So really there, I'm going to say that you don't say that it's like wood. Says the Gemara, but really the question that you're asking is the next question. That's only with the Evid. You want to bring a Rav and Rabbi Kiva, but that's only the Evid. Says the Gemara, so we're talking about it did go on the ramp. It's already on the ramp. Not on the Mizbeach, it's on the ramp. So once it's on the ramp, I bring it up to the Mizbeach because on the ramp it's already accepted. Says the Gemara, once it's on the ramp, so I don't need to be mixed up. Because once you put it on the ramp, as we said before, that according to Rabban, if we don't darshan the mute of Reb Lazar, ramp is like the Mizbeach. So once I put it on the ramp, I'm good. Hello, says the Gemara, time there. Reb Lazar says the Gemara does not like all these answers. And the Gemara says the reason Reb Lazar is Miet Rachmono Mum Bom. That's what it says by Mum. Mum Bom. Hudlo Yirotzu. Haldeta Roivis Yirotzu. It's Mum Bom. When the Mum is there, I know which one is the Mum. Then it's Lo Yirotzu. But if it's mixed up, then Yirotzu. So that's why I say you could put it as wood. Meaning, he says put it as wood, as the one's going to say in a moment. Really, he holds it without him putting it as wood. He holds that Ivarim that are mixed are mutter to put in the Mizbeach. Because the exercise cost. For Rabbanon, Mumbabu de lo Yiratsu. Thy Mum Yiratsu. He says, no, you read that for something else. That even if an animal has a blemish, it's not nifsal if the blemish goes away. I would think once an animal has a blemish, it's gone. She can't be a korban anymore. Can't be a korban anymore. So it says Mum Bam, while the Mum is there, lo Yiratsu. But if it heals for the Mum, it's a blemish, Mum Oiver, what's called Mum Oiver, it goes away, then you could put it on Mizbech. For Blazer mi bam bohem. It says Mum Bam. And the darshan bom bohem, so it could have said it should have said instead of mum bom, it could have said mum bohem. The Shida Kubetza learns because it says ki moshchasom bohem mum bom. So it says the word bohem and it says bom. So it's trey mute. You have two. One bom bohem no dash. They don't dash in this way. And so he says, okay, so that's your dashets. They don't dash it this way. Now, there's a long Taisus over here that wants to bring the idea. We do have drashos that we do say Bombay, sometimes we do say the drashos, sometimes the drashos. So you want to say it. Now, Taisus also adds that our Mishnah holds that al dei taroivis. In other words, Taisus comes out.
What's the drasha from that?
Because it says the way the Shita explains it, because it says in the pasuk of Bom and it says Bohem. So you say, why have to say both? Two drashas? We're going to say that's not considered to be an extra word.
But what's the learning from that?
He learns from it that the mum, that if you Baal mum could go on the mizbech if it got mixed up. Real regular. So two drashas. One drasha is the mum oiver. Once it heals is okay.
Right.
Second drasha is you can put it in the mizbech. Two things. Now, the Taisus brings over here that comes out in our sugyo. We have Shitas. Rabbi Lazar said that al dita roibis, if it got mixed up, you can put it in the mizbech. Rabbanan say no, you can't put it in the mizbech. Then there is a third sheet that Tosis brings. I basically, I think one in Bechayris that holds with the Yevet. You can put on Mizbech. If you want on Mizbech, you can leave it here. So different sheet is over here. Is it lechatchila? Can you do it? B'di'evet, can you do it, or not at all? Meaning, really, the next Mishnah that we already read says something about b'di'evet, according to Rabbi Loza. So that we already see something. Says the Gemara, Yachi Roye. What did Rabbi Loza say about this? Goes back to the question I mentioned before. It says Roye Ani. I'm looking at it as if it's 18. It says why Roye Ani? Arachmona Achsharei. Everyone says is mutter. So the more you're right, L'divrei Kol Malu. That's what Rabbi Loza says. L'divrei. According to you, Rabbi. L'didi Arachmona Achsharei. According to me, I can put in this back directly. L'didchu Oidli Miho Bosa Ba'amun Keitziv Dami. At least agree with me. It should be a piece of wood. The Rabbanon agree according to the Brisa. Remember, the Brisa argues in the Mishnah and holds the Rabbanon agree that Korban Chatos can go on the Mizbech as wood. So the same way you agree with Bosa Chatos, agree by Amum. Says the Gemara, Rabbanon Ochami also Lamisi. When I say no, by a Bosa Chatos, it's a kosher to get a carbon. Just you have to eat it and that put it in the Mizbech. So when you put it as wood. If something was a Balmum not supposed to go in front of the Mizbech and don't put it there. That's also the Pshat. According to Rabbi Lozer, we don't by Revev and Nirba. The truth is easier. Revev and Nirba, I don't have a pasuk. Revev and Nirba that I have a relationship with the Adam. There's no pasuk to tell you can put it out there. By Mumi, you have a pasuk to do it. Says Rabbi Lozer, but at least put it as wood. Rabbi say no, that we don't agree. Rabbi Lozer will. Why does Rabbi Lozer doesn't say to put Revev and Nirba as wood?
It says lechazim.
What?
It says lechazim.
It's not right, but put it as wood. So you see, he agrees with Rabbanon that most when something is disgusting, I don't put it on his back. The Shai list of comes out like this. Revev and Nirba, everybody agrees that Revev and Nirba, everybody agrees. I want to see if it says Beferish in the sheet. I think this. Yeah. So he says Revev and Nirba, everybody agrees as most. You don't put it as wood. The Chatos, everybody agrees you could put it on his back because it could be as wood. The Balmum, Rabbi Lozer holds the Chetchili could put it because it's a Taroivis. He says to Rabbanon, at least agree, she could put it as wood. Rabbanon said, no, it's still considered to be most. I disagree, and they don't dash like Rabbi Lozer.
We had yesterday about saying sending the base of soul, right?
Yeah.
But why is that not a problem bringing chatas and cup? Chatas is supposed to be.
Because I anyway can't eat it. I'm not diminishing it in any way. When you're doing something that I'm supposed to eat for 2 days and a night, I'm doing only 1 day and a night, so I'm ruining it. But here, it's going to be ruined anyway. So put it on the Mizbech. The Shaila is according to Blazer. I just think about it now. Why according to Blazer you need a pasuk to tell you that Aldei Taroivis can put a Balmum on the Mizbech? Why can't I just say put it as wood? Maybe because you have the intention to do as wood. The Chiddush is you can do it even though Chatchilo, not as wood. You can put it as a carbon. Maybe. Okay. So that's what the Gemara comes out, concludes based on this. Let's go back. We'll see the Mishnah again that we saw before, so we have the flow. Ivorim be'ivorim ba'almum, and you have limbs of ba'almum with a regular. Once one head goes in the Mizbeach, so you can put all of it because I'm toile, the one that went in the Mizbeach, that was the ba'almum. The legs of one of them, you can call it cry, you can put all the legs, because you have a tliya, not like the Brisa that says you can do the chatchilo. One disagreed, it says even if the whole thing went in the Mizbeach, you go and burn it. It says the Gemara, my Blazer, Rabbi Lazar.
Hey, that last one still going to burn, thinking that that's the.
Even though you had 100 and all 99 when the Mizbeach, the last one I say don't put it in the Mizbeach. Maybe that's the Balmum. Says the Gemara, that's what we saw. The Gemara already quoted before. It says you know when you can't put it in the Mizbeach? Only if you put 2. So let's start with Pshat of Rashi. Rashi means that I cannot put in the Mizbeach 1 head. So what does the Blazer say? I have 100 heads. One of them is Balmum. If 1 went in the Mizbeach, I'm assuming the 1 in the Mizbeach, that's the Balmum. The other 99 are kosher. But that's not enough. I need to do an additional layer of protection. What do? When I put in the Mizbeach, put 2 together. So I put 2 together, 1 of them is for sure okay. So I say the other one is like a migoy. Migoy, that the one that was on this is okay. So the other one is also okay. That's why I always put 2 together. That's why I say shtayim shtayim. One by one, no. Says the Gemara, look at the last part of the Mishnah. Part of the last part which just says, Hartman said, Even if you're out of the 100, 99 were karev, the last one, don't put it in the mizbeach. Mashra Ablozo disagrees. He says you do put it in the mizbeach. According to your Ablozo, it requires to have two. Says the Gemara, not one pair. You're right. You need to have two. Which one? Zug echad. Now, this way we explain this Gemara, that's the way Rashi learns. The Rambam learns a little differently. The Rambam says that when it says zug, doesn't mean you have to put two on the mizbech. It means that the only time the Ablaza held that if one goes on the mizbech is okay, it's still if you put two on the mizbech. Why? Meaning, you had 100. If you put one on the mizbech, the way we read the Mishnah, put one on the mizbech,